Hi, and welcome to Season 2 of My Ordinary Life, the podcast from Inclusion North, which offers you a rare invitation to hear about life from a different perspective. Season 2 of My Ordinary Life is all about a topic that many people try their best to avoid: death and dying. But at Inclusion North, we have a group of people with a learning disability, autistic people and family carers who've been working together for 6 years on a project all about this, and who are very comfortable talking about these subjects. I'm Karen Parry, and as your host, I'll bring members of our group together with experts whose jobs are closely connected to death and dying. We'll share our knowledge and experiences as we explore ways of everyone having honest, accessible conversations about life, death, and what happens next. And along the way, we'll hopefully prove that it doesn't have to be hard or uncomfortable or sad, and that these are conversations that we can all have with the right support. In these episodes, we talk openly and clearly about our own death and the deaths of people we love. If that isn't something you feel ready to listen to just now, maybe save these episodes for later, or listen with a family member or friend who you can talk to after the episode about what you've heard and how you feel. So welcome everybody to My Ordinary Life podcast. In this episode, we are going to be talking about funerals and funeral planning. So to start us off, I'm going to ask David, who's on our panel today, if you can explain to us what a funeral is.
Certainly. So the purpose of a funeral is to deal with what happens next when somebody dies. So that could be either a cremation or a burial, and funerals take many different forms depending on family or personal preference.
Lovely, thanks. Can you explain what a cremation is?
Yeah, so cremation is basically the burning of a body, the result of which is the ashes of a person who's died.
That's great, thank you. So we're really lucky today. We've got 3 people with us who have done a lot of thinking about their own funerals. They have talked about it together, they've talked to a funeral director, and they've all got plans in place and lots of creative ideas around their funerals. So Suzie, I'm going to ask you first. Do you want to share some of your funeral plans with us?
Yeah, I haven't been too well, and I'm living each day as it comes at the minute, and I was really worried about my kids, and I thought I must do something, and so we went down to see a guy. But instead of doing it just for myself, I did it for my kids too. And we all went together, and honestly, it was the best day I'd had in such a long time in a funeral parlour. People will be thinking, seriously? But it was, because I got a chance to see what I wanted. Because it's going to be my funeral, instead of somebody arranging it when I'm gone, I'm doing it before that. And we all had a go at doing my own and planning my own thing, and it was really, really good. And I'm not frightened anymore. I know everything's sorted out, and because we do the Stop Dying Too Young group, it helped to come to terms with the fact that people die.
That's brilliant. So you went as a family to see a funeral director.
Yeah.
Sounds like you had a great day, which is surprising, but lovely to hear that it wasn't sad, wasn't frightening. No,
it wasn't at all. It was so much fun, because we were seeing what we wanted, and we were laughing, and I mean, they come up with some weird stuff that they weren't doing. So, and so did I. I got a chance to say that I wanted the dirty version of Yogi Bear. Yogi Bear. So Yogi Bear is a song that my whole family sing to me when we go on holiday, right? Because it's called Susie's Got a Girlfriend Bear, Yogi, Yogi. And then it turns out that it's really rude, right? But everybody loves it, and they keep singing it to us. And so I thought, I'm going to get them back. So when I'm when I'm in my coffin, it'll start playing in their faces. I just would love to see them faces.
So you're really bringing your personality, your history, and how connected you are to your family into those plans, just in one song that you've picked. And I know there's far more details in your funeral plan than just the songs, but we'll come back to that in a minute. But if I can just ask Lindsey and Anthony, who are your children?
Yeah.
How did it feel when your mum said you want to come to the funeral directors and plan your own funeral?
At first I was thinking what you got planned. But obviously after doing the Stop People Dying Too Young, I was thinking, you know, this is something that needs to be done. And it's easier doing it way before. So the person who has died has a chance to have their say in what they want. But yeah, it was a really good day. And I'm really glad I done it.
Amazing. And Anthony, what was it like for you?
I was saying to my mum, what are you thinking? What are you doing? And why are you sorting mine out? I'm not even that old yet. But at first, yes, I thought it was a bit odd for me. But since we're working with you and we're talking about death and dying and everything, and it got me an understanding that it is okay to discuss and go to the funeral director and talk about what needs to be done in your belief, in your own way, of how you want it done.
Lovely. And David, as a funeral director yourself, is this a common thing? Do lots of people come in advance and make their plans, or does it really vary?
Absolutely no. It's becoming more and more popular now. People don't want to leave it to chance what might happen at their funeral, left to their kids, because it might not necessarily be what they want. And a lot of times I do go to see families where somebody's died, and I'll say, okay, what are you after? And they're like, well, I don't know, because we never talked about it. So sometimes I don't even know if they want a burial or cremation. But it's fun doing funeral plans with people because they put their personality into the whole funeral. They have their choices of music, they have whatever coffin they want, cremation where they want. And it takes a massive burden off the family that's left behind, because they don't have to think about anything like that, because actually it's all written down there.
Yeah.
And you can change these things in your plans prior to dying as well.
Yeah.
I have a book at home that's got all my music choices in, and it changes after a couple of glasses of wine. I have to change it, you know, or as the music evolves and stuff. So, yeah, it's all it's a very popular and common thing to do now. Yeah, and plus also the funeral prices are rising and have risen so fast over the past since I started 16 years ago. It kind of locks in the price, today's price as well.
Right.
So financially, it's a sensible idea as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear, because one of the questions that our Stop People Dying Too Young group asked was, how can people manage the cost of a funeral? Suzie, I know, is it right that you've paid for your funeral in advance?
Yes, we've paid for all our funerals, so we're all sorted everything. We've got our cars for some of the like my family members and stuff. And the reason I needed to do it is because it's just me and my kids. And I didn't know who was going to be looking after my kids. So I thought, right, what I'll do it so neither of them have to bury each other, you know what I mean? And feel as though that has to come out their pocket, because everyone's struggling. I think that was the best way to do it, I thought. So, yeah.
Lovely. Thanks, Suzie. So we're going to start finding out a bit more about what's in each of your plans, because I'm really interested to know the kind of details, the quirky things, how your personalities are coming through in your funeral plans. So Lindsey, you start us off. Tell us something that's in your funeral plan that very much reflects your personality.
It's themed. So everyone will be dressed up. I don't want anyone in black. It will be a fancy dress. I am going to be Harry Potter. I am actually going to be cremated in my Harry Potter costume. I'm going to have the theme tune of Harry Potter playing all the way through. And I'm going to actually have a screen with me dancing to the new Wednesday dance.
Okay.
With the actual song in my funeral. So when that song's playing, I'm going to be in the background dancing.
And that's Wednesday Addams, isn't it?
Yes.
From that TV show. Is it the TV show just called Wednesday?
Yes.
And there's a quite iconic dance that she does in that, isn't there?
Yes, that's the dance I will be doing. But obviously I will be dead.
So that'll be pre-recorded as a video.
Yes.
That'll then be shown. Amazing. So that's a really strong, I mean, I can picture it now. Harry
In a
Potter
black
film.
dress.
Yeah.
And what about you?
And I'm also going to record myself for when the curtain shuts, because obviously I'm getting cremated. It would have been better for a burial to have what I wanted, but I'm going to change the words up a bit. So I'm going to have a recording of me saying, help, help, they're going to burn us, they're going to burn us. Auntie Shell, get us out of here. So
Wow.
just, you know, making the family laugh, and that's my personality. I love pranking people and stuff like that, yeah.
Wow, thanks, Lindsey. Anthony.
Okay. The theme for me is that everyone should be like welcome and like comfortable. They don't have to wear anything like a suit or anything. They can if they want to, but I'll just say I'll let them wear what they feel comfortable, like joggers or jeans or anything, just to make them feel at home. I want my funeral to be like a light humour side to it about my life, and also a little bit of history. And I've already arranged the cremation as well, and because that's my choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've already picked 3 songs from when people going in, and then during the like halfway through and in the end.
Do you want to share your song choices?
But above the songs which my auntie really doesn't want to speak to us when I told her what song I'll be singing. Where the first one would be Life Is What You Make It by Talk Talk.
Lovely.
Knocking on Heaven's Door by Guns N' Roses. And then the last one would be Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds. So.
Amazing. There'll not be a dry
And
eye.
it's not just because it's like a sad song, because it sounds sad, but it's my favourite.
Right.
I love like in the 80s kind of style songs.
Nice, lovely. And other than the Suzie Bear song, are you interested in other music at your funeral, Suzie?
I'm going to have How Will You Live Without Me, and then I'm going to, I want to see the Siemens song. It's on Radio 4, and I listen to it every night before I go to sleep.
Right.
And I want that played because I like the music of it, you know. And also, I want to have a wake. Nobody agrees with me at the minute about this. I want me at my wake. I want to have a wake when I'm alive, so I can say goodbye to my friends and family and tell them how much I love them and thank them for what they've done for me and all that stuff, to get the chance to say thank you and bye, rather than just people coming and drinking, something I never do. I don't go to a pub. I would like to be able to eat some of the mince pies and stuff if I could. And stuff like that, instead of everyone eating my mince pie. So I want, you know what I mean? So I would like to be able to do that. And then when I've gone, you know, they don't have to, they can all just go home rather than having a wake. Apart from that, my medium family, they can do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's more smaller and more personal.
Yeah, so it's up to them. But I just want it the way I see, because I think going back to a pub and getting drunk, you're just making yourself die anyway, aren't you?
It's not you, is it?
Nah, you're giving yourself a heart attack by drinking all that beer and stuff. You can't have it.
So for people who don't know, David, keep me right, a wake is traditionally a celebration that happens after a funeral. I'm kind of delving into the lack of my own knowledge here, so I'm going to hand over to you. Explain what a wake is, and I think Suzie has described a living wake. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So a wake is traditionally something that happens after the funeral has taken place, and more recently I think it's turned into more of a celebration. Initially it was just a chance for everybody to meet the family, pay their condolences and see them after the service. There is a trend now for living wakes that happens before you die, and I can see the benefit in that for me as a person, because I'd rather be at the party as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's no point in...
Do you want to eat mince pie?
Corned beef and potatoes, you want to know. So yeah, I can see the benefit of that, and having that party whilst you're still able to do that. Absolutely.
It's the last party you'll ever have, isn't it?
Could be, yeah. Could be.
Yeah.
You want to be at it.
Exactly.
Especially if you're paying for it.
Yeah.
So you've all talked about being cremated, which obviously results in ashes being left, the ashes of that person. Have you got any wishes about where you might want your ashes scattering or kept when you've died?
I want mine in the North Sea.
I'll be swimming with you, Suzie, once you're in there. I'll be...
Yeah. Because you do all your... I was going to say skinny...
I know.
No, you go swimming.
I do go swimming.
Yes. In the freezing.
Fully costumed.
Yes, that's what I'm trying. Yes. No, but I'd like it to be on the sea, because my mum used to talk about the sea a lot, and she used to take us down to what she loved to do, and I loved it too, you know what I mean? So I'd like just to be free in the sea.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Anthony, have you got thoughts?
I really haven't really thought about. I was thinking that if my family wants, they can take some if they want, and like put in a glass or whatever if they like. I don't mind them doing that. It would be lovely, and the rest I'll be probably in an North Sea as well.
With your mum?
Probably in North Shields.
Yeah, lovely. Lindsey?
I haven't thought that far because I don't know if I'm going to be married by that time or if I'm going to have children. I don't know what's going to happen. But I have said, if no one claims me ashes after 24 hours, just flushes down the toilet. So I will end up in the sea as well.
So it's an interesting question, isn't it? So we've got some questions, I think, about ashes, David.
Okay.
Are there rules and regulations about where you can and can't scatter them? Do you need permission, etc.? And what happens to ashes that aren't collected from...
Not in Haunted Mansion in Disney World. I've heard that.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Pirates of the Caribbean.
So, there's not many rules and regulations that people stick to. There's not many places you can't scatter ashes, but what you are supposed to do is get permission from the landowner.
Right.
And that includes beaches and things. So the council, you're supposed to get in touch with them and get some written confirmation that you are allowed to do this. In my 16 years as a funeral director, I have never come across anybody who's done that yet. People scatter them everywhere in the sea. Lots of people go off St Mary's Lighthouse, in the River Tyne, on the moors, on their favourite walks, all over the place. But you are supposed to have permission from the landowner. And with regards to collecting ashes and how long we keep them for, so I've been there for 16 years and we have ashes still with us from about that time. It's not something we don't feel like we can do anything with those ashes at the minute. We have since, it was a very young company at that point, and we've changed the rules and regulations. So we have on our terms and conditions now that if ashes aren't collected from us after a year, they will be scattered where the cremation took place in the Garden of Remembrance there.
Right.
We've endeavoured to try and find all of those people that we still have ashes for, but some may have already died, changed their numbers, and it's just impossible to find them. But we don't feel like we're in a position to do that, just in case.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
It's probably, we could probably do it now after all this time, but we haven't yet.
It would be nice to have like ashes, something like the love of the people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like a
Loved
memorial
one,
tree or
like,
something
yeah,
like that. Something
and
where
then
you can put
just
them all.
be, and they'll all mingle together, and you'll always have a friend next to you, because you will be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like always having somebody.
Yeah. And while we're on the subject of cremation, and we'll move on to other options that other people might choose, but I think for a lot of people, they might go to a service and the coffin disappears behind curtains, and then what happens next feels like quite a mystery to a lot of people. So David, I don't know if you can tell us a bit about what that cremation process is, so we can kind of picture it, because sometimes we might imagine quite strange things happening, like everybody in to get, Yeah. There's a lot of mystery, I think.
Mystery, yeah. Okay. So, well, first I'd like to say that crematoriums are public places and you are allowed to make an appointment to go and see actually what happens in the crematorium and behind the scenes. Wow. If anybody is that interested in how it goes. Each of the crematoriums are different. So obviously the coffin goes onto the table, which is known as a catafalque, and it's on there for the duration of the service. The curtains do close at some point. Some people leave them open until the end and leave before the close because they don't like that closure. But generally when the curtains close, the coffin remains where it is until everybody's left the chapel. A lot of people feel like it descends into like some fire pit below, you know, and that happens, pardon?
That doesn't happen.
It doesn't, no, because you would hear all that going on during the service. So it tends to remain where it is when everybody's left the chapel. Some of them do go descend, but to the cremators. Others are pushed back through a hidden wall behind the coffin. So if next time you're at a crematorium, you're looking for that hidden wall, which is the coffin goes through to. It is then placed in what they call a cremator, which is basically a big oven, and the body is cremated for about, if you want to know this detail, about 2.5 hours.
Right.
Yeah, is how long it takes.
And is that everything? Does the coffin go in, or is the
everything,
body?
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes, there's this misconception that we ship everybody out their coffins and the body goes in, we reuse the coffins and stuff. That does not happen. No.
And so is the things then, this was another question from the group, is the things that can and cannot be put in the coffin with people? Because sometimes people like to put mementos and things.
So yeah, you can put most things in, except anything with a battery, because that would make it go out with a bang. And we get rung off the crematoriums if anything like that goes in. Sometimes when people come to see their loved ones in the chapel of rest, they kind of sneak a packet of cigarettes and a lighter in there or something, or a bottle of vodka, or or a can of lager or something. So we do have to take note of that, and some of those things do have to come out. But no, a lot of people put things in like cards, photographs, toys, or people are dressed in their favourite outfits and stuff. So yeah, there are some rules and regulations, but not too many.
Amazing. I mean, I'm learning so much. Is everybody else finding this absolutely fascinating? So obviously cremation is one option. Burial is another option. And for people from different cultures, burial is their only kind of option. So can you talk to us a bit about burial and kind of how people would organise where they wanted to be buried, and if there's different kind of processes and rules around that?
Yeah, burial is a very personal choice. It's not nearly as common as cremation at the minute, and there's a cost implication in that as well, because in general terms you have to buy a plot somewhere and then you have to pay an interment fee, which is interment is basically the council digging the grave and refilling it again, and they charge an awful lot of money for that. Right. But there's a move at the minute towards natural burials, and that's very much more natural. The coffins tend to be wicker coffins. There's no procession, there's no hearse and limousines there. We have a lodge up there with a log burning fire, and we hold the services in there, and then the burial takes place in the burial ground, and there's no headstones or anything allowed. You can have a little plaque on the ground, but the grave is generally marked with a tree. So ultimately these will become a woodland, right, which is a nicer thought, because you tend to find that in the council run, I feel like I'm getting to the council here, I'm not getting to the council at all, but in the council-run cemeteries, a lot of the gravestones have fallen over, there's a lot of disrepair, and when somebody is first buried in that type of cemetery, there is family to look after the grave and tend to the grave and stuff, but it tends to be the next generation don't, and then everything becomes overgrown and neglected and stuff, so there is a big trend for the natural burials.
So as we start to come to the end of our conversation today, I'm really interested to go back around and find out if there's any other parts of your funeral plans that you haven't mentioned that you want to share. And then we'll come to David and find out a bit more about the kinds of choices that are available. So Lindsey, is there anything else that you haven't mentioned about your funeral?
I think I have mentioned most of it, but it needs to feel lively.
Right.
I don't want people to be sitting there crying. I don't do that stuff. I'd rather just have people having a laugh, like a party.
What a lovely word, lively. That is not the word I thought you were going to say, but what a gorgeous word. I want my funeral to be lively.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't want people to be crying. I don't want, you know how like when they do when they sing the hymns and that, I don't want that either. I want people just to be having a laugh and all the stories from when I was younger and the stupid things I've done and stuff like that.
Yeah, remembering
That's what
you.
I want. Mm-hmm.
Lovely, thanks Lindsay. Anything else that you have got in your plans that you haven't mentioned, Anthony?
To be honest, I think I might go to my funeral director and says, can I have mine well done? I think I might do that. Because for me, I'm always humorous.
You are always joking.
And sometimes in certain situations, I always find a funnier side of it to help people, you know, to make them joyful and happy again.
And I kind of feel like in your family, bringing humour into these conversations has massively helped you all to put your plans together.
Because we can't take things seriously sometimes, do we?
No, we
It's
can't
like I'm
take
not
things
frightened.
seriously.
I used to be frightened. I'm not frightened anymore.
And what a lovely message to give out to people who maybe aren't as confident as yourselves to have these
Yeah.
conversations.
Because we're all born and we're all die.
Yeah.
There's a time we're only here for a little while, and then you know you'll be born again, man. I bet you.
To be honest, it is actually all about what you're doing during that time after you were born, and then as you're growing older and everything, you've done all these amazing things and everything, and you lived your life and you do all these things like job, married with kids, or anything. As long as you are living a full, happier life, then till the end, and you're absolutely fine.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Anthony.
I used to think, you know, when a baby's born, every person should be, you know how you open a bank account, right? And every person should be, like, when you're a baby, there should be £1 put in or whatever every week for your death.
Right.
Because you come into the world free, but you have to pay to go out.
Sounds like it's really important to you that you've done that, so there isn't a big
Yeah.
cost for your kids who are left behind.
That's why, because I didn't want my kids owning, like, in debt.
Yeah.
For me, you know what I mean? I would hate that. So, I think it would be nice to do something like that.
Yeah. So finally, we're just going to finish off with David, because I know your funeral company very much into kind of personalisation and people having as much choice as possible and bring their own personalities into it. So do you want to just share with us some of the things, the different choices that people can make?
Of course, yeah. So obviously we've heard about you wanting Harry Potter, and I've done Harry Potter themed ones before. I was asked to do an alien themed funeral, and the family asked if myself and the pallbearers would all dress up, full head to toe alien costumes, literally masks and everything.
Wow.
Floor length blue alien costumes. And just that sight at the West Road Crematorium just kind of stopped everything. But it was what they wanted, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a bit of theatre in funerals sometimes. You know, people want it to be good and be happy occasion or, you know, a joyful thing to happen. So there is a bit of theatre in that, and I'm all for that, absolutely. So I'm game for anything.
Yeah.
And then I did a funeral for a gay guy, of which that community I'm part of anyway. But his family had seen some pictures of me, which is possibly why my Facebook should be private. But they'd seen some pictures of me at Leeds Pride. And I had a really short pair of shorts on and a skimpy little vest thing. I know it's embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing, it's what you wanted to do.
But they asked if I would direct the funeral dressed like that.
Wow, that was getting their own back.
So this was a Tynemouth crematorium. So I arrived at the house dressed like that. walked in front of the hearse dressed like that. And the other request was that I, first of all, did the service. So I did the service for this guy. And that in the middle, that we danced to Christina Aguilera for the middle piece of music. So we all got up and danced in the middle of that service for him. You know, we had a Christina Aguilera coffin, you know, she was all along the side and stuff. So I'll pretty much do anything.
Do you know what? I bet some of your neighbours looking at you thinking, okay.
Well, they can't see me doing that. I look like this most of the time.
Really?
It's their choice. That's what they want. That's why we're called Cozy Please.
Cozy Please, aye.
Yeah, is actually just all your choice.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier, and you said that the shop front, the choices of coffins and things are very much in the window in terms of trying to get conversations starting.
Exactly that, yes. We put things on coffins because we feel it's very important that people have this conversation that we're having now about what will happen. You know, you mentioned about you're so young to take a funeral plan out. My experience would say nobody knows what's around the corner.
Exactly.
Talk about it, let people know what you want, write it down somewhere, even if you don't take a funeral plan out, write your wishes down, and then people will know. Because we literally don't know what's around the corner.
No.
Yeah.
None of us.
No, yes, exactly, hit it on
Hard
the
fact
head.
of life, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand that probably more than anybody here.
You know when you had to get dressed up with a short, it was a winter.
It wasn't, thank God, it was sunny. It was red hot.
Oh, well, that's all right then, because I'm going to say if it was winter,
If it was snowing.
so you've been frozen.
I might have had to reconsider at that point.
And do you get a lot of requests for Newcastle United coffins?
Yes. We do, yeah.
Can I ask one thing? You know when some people get buried in a cardboard box, they want to go in a cardboard box, why are them cardboard boxes more expensive than a coffin?
It shouldn't be. Depends which funeral director you use.
Does it? I'll have to use the pound shop.
Not unless you live in London.
But I think for things like cardboard coffins now, you can order them by mail and they'll come to your house in the post. You know,
Yeah, you can get them on eBay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or
I
Amazon
wish I
or
had
something,
known that earlier, because when my friend's dad had died, he wanted to be put in a cardboard box, and she paid more for the cardboard box than the actual coffin itself.
Yeah.
I think as things become more common, they become, you know, if it's unusual,
Yeah, I think it
everything's got a
was
higher price, hasn't it?
unusual then.
Absolutely. And I think people are learning now too that it isn't disrespectful to shop around when you're looking for a funeral director as well. So it's good that people do that. They look at different places to buy their own coffins from. Because of course, funeral directors have a markup on coffins, but you can get them off Amazon, you can get them off eBay, and people do get them delivered to the house. And then to personalise them, you know, we've had children come in to the Chapel of Rest there who've decorated cardboard coffins,
That's
drawn
really
on them and
nice.
things, you know. There's so much you can do if you want to.
I think schools should bring it into that curriculum.
I think we all need to be more comfortable talking about it, don't we? Which is why we're doing this podcast. I mean, we've had an amazing conversation. I've so enjoyed it. I hope everyone else has
I've
too.
enjoyed it.
And thank you so much. It's not always easy to come and have these conversations, but you know, you've done this work for a long time, so we knew you'd be great. But thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
And David,
Pleasure.
thanks for joining us.
My
It's
pleasure.
been
Anytime.
brilliant having you here. Absolutely brilliant. If you enjoyed this episode and are feeling very kind, please rate, review and subscribe, and be sure to tell your family and friends to have a listen too. The music you've heard in these episodes was composed for us by O'Hooley and Tito and published by Voice Publishing. If you'd like to listen to the full song, you can find the link in the show notes. And if you'd like to share your ordinary life with us, we'd love to hear from you. You can find us on social media at Ordinary Life 66. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to catch up with you again soon.